going to take us into a small little teach that we're going to do around the art of powerful questions. So yesterday we started dealing with questions and working with questions. And today we want to take you that little piece, a little bit further into it. And I think the first thing I would like to say, even before we're working from the art of powerful questions. This is from a paper which I really suggest that you look up and read, by Eric E. Voigt, Juanita Brown, and David Isaacs. It's a beautiful short little piece that is really eye-opening, and it has a lot to do with inquiry, with being in the search, with having, I think Dimitri spoke to this at the beginning. How are we with being in inquiry, looking for the right question? Western culture really kind of directs us into solution-oriented thinking and all these kind of things. And this is a different suggestion, to be with the question, even questioning the questions. It's a very important part of Art of Hosting. I think one of the first things when I just met Art of Hosting through Maria, Vanessa, and Sarah in 2012 or 13, one of the first things that I learned about Art of Hosting is that at its core, it is a practice of questions and invitations. Anytime I get confused about a process I'm hosting or anything like this, I go back to this: questions and invitations. So the art of powerful question is about learning how to make our questions more powerful, more potent, and more apt. It's not always about making it bigger or more complex, but about finding the right question for our situation. So what is a powerful question? We have a beautiful quote from our Albert Einstein friend. And he said, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem, the question, and 5 minutes thinking about the solution. So crafting the question many times is at the heart of the journey it shall lead us into. And sometimes we really rush ourselves into the process, into finding the answers, into starting to work the puzzle, where many times, if we took some more time to work on the question, find the exact question for us, we might save ourselves or our organization many months' work if we're not in the right direction. So a powerful question generates curiosity in the listener. A powerful question stimulates reflective conversation. Powerful question is thought-provoking. A powerful question surfaces underlying assumptions. We're going to speak to assumptions a bit more in just a second. Powerful question invites creativity and new possibilities. A powerful question generates energy and forward movement. Powerful energy channels attention and focuses the inquiry. A powerful question stays with participants. You know this feeling that you get when you're in the shower or you're doing the dishes, and suddenly a question pops into your mind, a really powerful question that someone posed to you, and suddenly it comes back up. It means it stayed with you. And a powerful question evokes more questions. So this isn't a checklist. A powerful question just doesn't need to have all these things, checked off, but a few directions to think of when you're trying to find a powerful question. And we're going to talk a bit about the architecture. So how do we actually craft a powerful question? And there are 3 different things to go on when we're crafting our question, when we're building our question. And the first thing is the construction. So what words are we going to use? Now, some words are more opening, wider. Some words are more, make a very narrow invitation. It's not a good or bad, right? It's about understanding our need and managing to put the scale in the right place for your team, your process, and what you want to get out of it. So there's a few different words we can use, right? There's the yes/no questions, which give people just a yes or a no. That's a very narrow answer people can give us. Then there's a which. So which one, which part, right? Then there's the who, when, where. So a bit more information when we ask who or when or where. A person can answer a bit wider, but it's still very focused in a certain direction. And then we have the big words that really send us off into the biggest questions, which are why, how, and what. And I'll give you an example. Of course, all of this material you guys will get. Don't worry about it. You'll get it all. So an example is, are you enjoying this workshop? It's a yes or no answer, right? Are you? Which part of the workshop did you like? So it's a bit bigger. You can actually name a space, but it's still not asking a very wide question. When do you feel it was working best? Now I'm asking the when. What do you think about this workshop and how could we make it better? That's a wide question, okay? So that's a bit about the difference, the different constructions, the different words we can use. Now to assumptions. Okay, so the main thing to understand about assumptions is that they're everywhere. Nearly every sentence we say, every question we pose will have assumptions in it. And that's okay. We're not against assumptions. We just want to make ourselves aware of the assumptions that we have in the question, because different people have different assumptions. So something that might feel very natural to me might not to someone else. And so we might pose a question and it can get a different reaction than we're intending if we don't have the same assumption. So I'm going to go straight to the very, very hard example, of the harsh example. It's also from the paper. It's a beautiful example. And I'm just going to point out some of the assumptions in there. Okay, so the question is, how might we eliminate the border between the US and Mexico? It's a pretty powerful question, right? So how might we eliminate the border between the US and Mexico? Let's count out the assumptions in there. So we assume that there is a border, that we should eliminate it, that there is a US, that there is a Mexico, that we are the people to eliminate the border, right? All these assumptions and many, many more are entwined in that example. So every sentence, every question that we have will have assumptions. Learn to see them and question them. And then the last thing that we want to think about as we craft a question is the scope. So we can ask about something that's very close to us. We can ask about different, right? The scope of the question can change. The example, how can we best manage our work group, okay, within a company? A bit of a bigger scope is, how can we best manage the company? A bigger scope would be, how can we best manage the economy? Even bigger scope is, how can we best manage the universe? Okay, so if we ask, how can we best manage the universe? That's going to be a pretty wide question. But so these are a few examples and different ways to look at a question and look at the architecture of it to understand how we want to ask and what we want to ask.